So here what I'm gonna try and do, not too easy. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna try and hit the 3 different ways, or the 4 variations, one after the next. Do that last one. All right, I'm happy with that. Close enough. Hello. This is Alex Anselm, tennis player and coach, loving husband and father, and amateur DJ. Today I'm going to show you 4 ways you can vary up your kick serve to keep your opponent off guard and stay one step ahead when you're serving. Quick disclaimer first though. This tip today is more designed for advanced level players, and I would only try and do this if you're at a level where, for example, you can already make 10 kick serves in a row into half of a service box. If you cannot really do that yet, then I would not really apply these tips because it'll overcomplicate things for you and probably not help you. So what exactly do we mean when we say kick serve? Well, a kick serve has certain characteristics to it. First, it's a ball that's coming at you with heavy spin. Second, the kick serve is typically characterized also by a higher bounce. And lastly, and probably maybe the most important aspect of the kick serve though, is this kind of trajectory deviation you have at the bounce. So you're expecting the ball to follow a certain path, but instead of following that path, it kicks on the bounce and moves off to the side, making the trajectory a little bit more unpredictable. So what's the problem that we see at higher levels in regards to a kick serve? They're always trying to hit the kick serve the same way, which is basically meaning that they're trying to go for maximum amount of spin, maximum height, and maximum weight on the shot. So they're always just trying to hit this best kick serve that they can, and the problem is that in the end, they all resemble each other. So in a return video that I made, I say that one of the keys is to learn how to read the bounce. And so if the kick serve is coming at you and it's a tricky bounce, but it's always the same tricky bounce, well, you can get used to that after a while. You can groove yourself onto it. So the next level is to emphasize certain elements of the kick serve over others so that you're adding a little bit of variety into how you're kicking the ball into the service box. So I'm going to start with 3 ways that you can vary how you're going to hit the ball. There are 3 elements to the kick serve that you're going to find. There's the height of the bounce, there's the kick on the bounce, and then there's the weight of the ball. So the key is going to be to pick which element you are wanting to emphasize on your kick serve, so that again we're creating a little variation. Now this is a subtle variation, this is a micro variation. The key is to have it just to be enough to keep your opponent off guard when they're returning serve and not really allow them to get a groove onto your kick serve. If you think about it, does a pitcher in baseball always throw the same pitch? You have the change-up balls, you have the breaking balls, and you have the fast balls. And what I'm talking about in varying your kick serve is similar to how a pitcher is going to vary his pitches. Another way to think about it is to think, does the same EQ level work for all songs? Or is it better sometimes to adjust the EQs depending on which song you're kind of trying to play or which style of music it is? So what I've seen at advanced levels, even at the professional level, is that players tend to vary more or less well on their first serve because there's that cushion of having a second serve behind them. But without that cushion and the second serve being what it is, people don't tend to vary their second serve or their kick serve very much, and so their kick serve always ends up looking the same. Have you ever heard the saying, you're only as good as your second serve? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain to you a little bit the 3 different ways how you can vary things up on your kick serve. I'm going to start by showing you on a tennis ball what I mean and exactly how you can get that variance on your kick serve. First variation I'm going to talk about is where we're really trying to emphasize the kick on the ball. That means for a right-handed player, we're really trying to move the ball from left to right as much as possible. And this is a serve that we use a lot because obviously if you're playing against a right-handed player, when you're aiming towards the right, that's going to go towards their backhand side, and that's the weaker side. Key when you're going for maximum kick and you really want the ball to move out to the right is to really go over the top of the ball, and straight across it like that. Okay? So this is a ball I'm really kicking out to the right over here. You would see that on a motion, if you're looking at a motion from behind a player, that their racket is going to get thrown very much to the side over here rather than going forward. I would use this, first of all, if a player likes to stand very far back, because the further back they stand, the more you kick it, the more you're going to pull them off to the side, especially on the ad court. If they stand really far back and you have a good kick where you really move the ball off to the side, you can almost have as a goal on a regular size court to just run the player into the fence practically. Another good time to use this serve is if you're playing against somebody who likes to run around a lot. The next way that you can vary your kick serve a little bit is to, instead of emphasizing the kick of the ball, what we're gonna do is we're gonna try and really emphasize the height of the ball. Some players refer to it as more of a topspin serve. The ball is still going to kick a little bit, obviously. It's just not going to kick as much. On this kind of serve, we're looking to go a little bit more straight up on the ball. Right here. So I'm kind of going more straight up on the ball, a little bit more like this. Now, of course, I'm still gonna go off to the side a little bit, but I'm still trying to come up. I'm just trying to come up the ball a lot more over here. This serve is generally gonna come a little bit slower. So the point of this serve is to really get a high bounce on the ball. I would choose to use more of this kind of serve if I'm playing against somebody who's not as tall and whose strike zone is not very high. So by lifting the ball up just that little bit higher, it's easy to get the ball out of their strike zone. Finally, the third way to vary up your kick serve is going to be to give more weight to the shot. So when I mean more weight, what I mean here is kind of also like a hybrid in between first serve and second serve. So you're going a little bit more aggressive. Here, you're not worried about the ball kicking right as much or kicking up as much. You're interested in how fast the ball is going to penetrate through the court. Trajectory on this kind of serve is kind of in between the two and not as long, okay? The first two, I'm really trying to put a lot more spin on the ball. The second one, the last one, sorry, here, I'm trying to get some spin on it, but I also want some miles per hour. I also want the ball moving through the court. Another subtle difference is that these first two serves right here are going to generally bounce shorter inside of the service box, especially the kick, because that will give you more angle. This more heavy weighted serve, you want to bounce deeper in the service box. So that's 3 ways that you can vary how you're hitting the ball. All right, again, choose whether you're going to emphasize the kick of the serve, the height of the bounce, or the weight of the ball when it reaches your opponent. The fourth way to vary up your kick serve is to change the placement or the location of the serve. Generally, when we're talking about a kick serve, it's a right-handed player serving to a right-handed player. That means we're kicking over to the backhand side. I think this play is underused at advanced levels and even in professional tennis, which is that from time to time you can give the same kick serve toss but surprise your opponent by serving down the tee to the ad court or out wide on the deuce court, or essentially hitting your kick serve to their forehand. I know this sounds kind of obvious, but you would be amazed in how many hundreds or thousands of matches I've watched, even at advanced levels, of players who do this almost never. Now, in my opinion, one of the greatest servers of all time has to be Pete Sampras. And when you look at Pete Sampras, there is a player who took a little bit more risk on his second serve, who was a lot more unpredictable. And sure, maybe he had a few extra double faults, but how much he gained out of it rather than how much he lost was worthwhile for him to do it. And I think that 9 out of 10, if not more, tennis players should maybe try and apply this more into their game. All right, now let me briefly give you just a couple of ways that you can practice this so that you can kind of learn, first of all, to differentiate in between where am I going for kick, where am I going for height, and where am I going for weight. Best way to work on the kick serve where the kick is to a maximum is to go all the way to the side of the court on the ad court and try and find as sharp of an angle as you can find with your serve while kicking the ball, and try and hit the side fence as far up or as far in on the side fence as you can. A great way to work on the height of the shot is going to be to practice a serve where you give the ball a little bit more hang time over the net, and I like to just try and do the most extreme version of it as you can, and then kind of work your way down. A good way to check and see if your serve is heavy enough or if it's moving through the court enough is to hit a kick serve like you're used to, but going for a little bit more power. And here your goal should be to hit the back fence before the ball bounces twice. So any pro who's played against Roger Federer will tell you almost the same thing when it comes to returning his serve. The three things that make Roger's serve really great are disguise, variety, and placement. Not his power or the number of aces he hits, but what it is that the returner feels like he's always guessing. If you come back to the saying, you're only as good as your second serve, I would add on to that, your second serve is only as good as it is unpredictable. And of course, I don't mean unpredictable as in is it going in or out, because there are some players who are unpredictable in that sense. No, I mean it's unpredictable in terms of how it's really going to behave on the bounce. So if you're at that stage where you've developed the kick serve, but it feels like it's kind of stagnating for you, I think now's a good time for you to start thinking about how you can add those little micro variations I was talking about. You can vary the height, you can vary the weight, you can vary the kick, and you can also vary the placement. So until next time, this is Alex Anselm signing off.